Now, this is very important. David Cameron has spoken out about the position of the United Kingdom within the European Union, and there is an article about it in the Daily Mail. We risk being like Norway if we quit EU, says Cameron. He warns Britain will be unable to influence laws. Britain faces being governed by facts from Brussels and reduced to the standing of Norway if it leaves the European Union but stays in the single market, the Prime Minister said yesterday. At a lunch in Westminster, David Cameron insisted he did not want Britain to leave the EU, and he warned the Norway option of simply having access to the single market would lead to government by facts, with Britain unable to influence the EU's laws. He said, "I don't want Britain to leave the EU. I think that we benefit crucially from the single market, and I think it is worth understanding what leaving would involve. You can be like Norway, and you can have full access to the single market, but you have absolutely no say over the rules of that market. Norway is a member of the European Economic Area. This grants it access to the single market, but it is obliged to respect the laws of the free trade area. It last held a referendum on full EU membership in 1994, when it was narrowly rejected, but anti-EU attitudes have hardened in recent years." Mr. Cameron said there was now a settled will in Britain for quite significant reform of the relationship with the EU. But his comments came as the President of the European Commission said Britain needs to make up its mind whether it wants to stay in the EU or not. In a sign of growing EU frustration with Britain, José Manuel Barroso effectively warned Tory critics of Brussels to put up or shut up, suggesting the UK should quit if it was not comfortable with the rules of the 27-nation club. Mr. Barroso said it is good for the EU to have Britain on board, provided, of course, Britain is comfortable with the situation. No country is obliged to be in the EU. We are a free association of free countries. Now it is up to Britain to decide if it wants to keep its position or not. His comments will pile pressure on Mr. Cameron to give in to the demands from Tory MPs and stage an in-out referendum on Europe. But in a blow to the Prime Minister's strategy of negotiating the terms of Britain's membership, EU Home Affairs Commissioner Cecilia Malmström yesterday warned the UK would not necessarily be allowed to retain EU cooperation in some areas of justice policy if it opted out of others. Tory MP Douglas Carswell welcomed Mr. Barroso's intervention, adding, "When even the arch-Euro-federalist like José Manuel Barroso realizes we need to make up our minds about membership of the EU, it is extraordinary that the government continues to run scared of a referendum." Former Tory Defence Secretary Liam Fox argued Mr. Cameron's renegotiation strategy would not be seen as credible unless it included the threat to leave. He said we should set out what our relationship ought to be and make clear to our European partners that if a consensus can be reached, our continued membership of the EU could be the recommended course of action. Equally, if we were not given such assurances, then we have to be clear that the British people might well decide to leave. In a speech, Dr. Fox added, "To be frank, if the choice is between the current trajectory towards ever close union and leaving, then I would choose to leave, albeit reluctantly. If the choice is between a looser, more economic relationship and leaving, then I would choose to stay." Mr. Cameron also said yesterday a deal on the deadlocked negotiations over the EU's long-term budget was only achievable if Brussels backed down on its demands for an inflation-busting increase. The lavish ceremony giving the Nobel Peace Prize to the EU was dismissed as a jamboree by Mr. Cameron yesterday, even as Nick Clegg was attending the event. The Deputy Prime Minister represented the UK at a Norwegian ceremony which is thought to have cost up to £15 million to stage. London Mayor Boris Johnson has called it preposterous. The award was accepted by European Commission President José Manuel Barroso, European Parliament President Martin Schulz, and European Council President Herman Van Rompuy, all dodgy characters who said the UK had perfected the art of compromise.